What's up, buddies? So last time we got timing, boost, and wastegate control basically into a pretty good place. We played around with some fun stuff too. That was almost 2 months ago. Sorry it took so long to get this video out. Now, like I said last time, I'd be making a bunch of changes beforehand. I ended up doing 7 revisions in like the week or so leading up to departing for VIR. A lot of the changes were literally just fiddling around with like impulse combustion and DSG farts up until I got sick of those and then made them a lot more dull because I'm not a child. So let's talk a little bit more about the important things that were changed though. On the intake air temp compensation tables, I kind of mulled over which versions to use. I ultimately ended up setting it up for the Golf R tables for the compensation values. May have bit me in the ass, and we'll get to that in a minute. But my thought process was, that's the higher performance version of the car. It had slightly more conservative values. Well, yeah, we'll get to that. I also made the spark modifier maps a little bit less aggressive. One of the big changes that I made was I made all of the spark maps, like the original spark maps, not the switch patch spark maps. I made them all relatively identical in the higher air mass areas. That way, regardless of which one it's switching around on at any given time, the values aren't changing. So it makes wide open throttle tuning a whole lot easier. And you still have the benefit of it switching between the different ignition maps under varying lower and medium loads. I changed the VVL switchover basically from the low lift to the high lift cam. I changed that switchover up to 3750 RPMs. Anywhere from like the 3700 to 3900 range is about right from most of the people that I've talked to. I set mine a little bit on the lower side so that while I'm on track, it's not constantly switching between low lift and high lift cams. If you ever look at like the logs, you'll see that there'll be like a little jump in air mass and or like the fueling and stuff will go a little bit funny when it's switching back and forth. So I try to avoid it, switching back and forth on such a regular basis. I'll probably do a follow-up video on this specific topic at some point, mainly because there's a pretty good way to figure out exactly where you want your switchover if you're looking for all-out performance. But like I said, mine is for track tuning. I just don't want it switching back and forth repeatedly. I played around with the transmission rev match downshift tables a good bit more. Up to VIR, actually, I think I went a little bit too far, and then I ended up dialing it back to stock again, and then where I found a happy medium was basically doubling the stock values, and that was good enough. There's definitely still room for improvement, but it's whatever. I'm not chasing every last bit. I changed the speed at which it goes from the low throttle or the low speed pedal map to the higher speed pedal map because I wanted it to maintain that lower speed map just a little bit longer. One of the logs I looked at, I was hitting the pressure ratio max set point, and that was causing it to pull power, and it registered as a limiter. So raised that out of the way again. But after a bunch of those changes, the tune felt really good, and I was pretty confident that it'd be good on this track. So I left for VIR on Thursday night, got there, made a last minute change. I think that was when I did the trans rev match downshift stuff, and I also made the gear shift spark cut a little bit less aggressive because it seems like it shifts a little bit better when it's like that. So anyway, yeah, Friday went well, no issues with the car drivability wise. I was checking the logs in between sessions just to make sure that nothing was really bad. I was getting knock on the most aggressive map. It was consistent, though it wasn't necessarily excessive. And it was almost entirely showing up in 5th gear when the car was really heavily loaded. What was interesting was, and I've seen this before, there wasn't really a perceptible difference between maps 1 through 3. 3 is less aggressive on my tune. Once the car is fully heat soaked. When reviewing the logs, I did find something that may have been quietly starting to pull the torque request down under certain conditions. I'm not 100% sure of what exactly it was. It could be tied to like temperatures at a duration or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. It never dropped far enough to actually go below the limit of what I was requesting, but it is worth flagging. It never caused boost to fall off or anything. So after driving the car all day Friday, stayed up a little bit later than I had wanted to, and made a bunch of little changes based on what I saw in the logs. And I ended up running this tune the remainder of Saturday and Sunday. All that I did was I was trying to figure out why that knock was happening. So I ended up bumping the knock thresholds from 10 to 20%. That's my personal comfort limit, at least. I made a few minor changes to the IAT compensation maps again in the hopes that it would tone it down a little bit and would stop pulling timing. I adjusted the pedal versus torque request table, trying to dull the pedal sensitivity in like the lower RPMs a little bit. I was mostly trying to make it a little more manageable coming out of hog pen, because there was a very fine limit where you're rolling into the throttle and the car would just light the front end up when you started giving it a little bit, rather than being a relatively smooth and controllable rolling onto the throttle there. I also eased off of the spark modifier tables, the switch patch spark modifier tables in like the 4,500 to 5,500 RPM range. This was also trying to address some of the knock that I was seeing in that band. So I pretty much threw the entire kitchen and everything at it with regards to trying to get rid of the knock and go from there. The rest of the weekend went smooth. The only issues I saw in the logs were there was one time where I went out with not enough fuel and the car leaned out. So yeah, going below about a half tank with an IS38 is asking for trouble. After the weekend was over, I was able to finally look at the logs a lot more in depth and just focus on that. So I ended up confirming that the IAT compensation tables, I probably should have just left the GTI tables as what I was building off of, because where it had problems was in the same RPM range where the stock GTI calibration pulls a lot of timing when it gets hot. So it probably has to do with head design more so than what turbo you have or anything else. This was also where I noticed that the reason my most aggressive tune, it wasn't because it was necessarily running more boost, but it was because it was getting the intake air temps about 10 degrees Celsius hotter than any of the other maps were able to do. As a result, I think that this was also why all of the tunes, kind of like tunes 1 through 3, all felt pretty much identical. Tune 3 is running a little bit less boost, the same amount of timing, but because it wasn't heating up the air, it wasn't pulling any timing or anywhere near as much timing. So yeah. All right, now to give you a little bit of background as to why the updates have been so slow. The day after I got back, I was driving my wife's car to work and ended up getting rear-ended by an uninsured driver. There was about a 40-mile-an-hour closing speed difference. I was fine, otherwise just a little sore that first day, but fine after that. But bottom line, her car was totaled. That threw a whole wrench into things, because then I had to swap the pads and everything on this car like that day, because I had to go straight back into daily driver duty. So I got this thing ready so she could daily drive it. I was daily driving my Sequoia, getting like 14 miles per gallon at best. So that was awesome. Since she was also driving a bunch, I ended up doing a one-off 87 octane tune for this thing on map 5. So just weakened the piss out of it as far as boost and timing goes. I think it was like a flat 15 PSI and not much of any timing added at all. So it made it so it was safe for her to drive to work on cheaper fuel while it was stupid priced at all the bullshit going on in the world. Set the knock thresholds all the way back to stock for this tune as well, just to err on the safe side. Doing that really only took a few minutes. This is probably one of the best perks of DIY tuning, because regardless of whatever your situation is, you can figure out and do what it is that you need based on your needs. So that was pretty helpful, considering she was driving about 300 miles a week. Now, as far as what's next, tuning activity is probably going to be a little bit quiet. I think we're at a decent enough stopping point where you probably got a pretty good idea of what the whole process is like. It's just a constant iteration and just making little tweaks here and there and making things better. And if they don't get better, then you go right back and you try something else. I'll likely add some more tips and tricks and some other short little videos, on like an ad hoc basis here and there, but I don't have anything specific planned right this minute. I do have some PCV related findings, since I had the APR plate on my car at VIR, and I'm going to go over that. I don't think it's necessarily tuning related, but it does involve using Simos tools to data log stuff. So keep an eye out for that. And the last thing in other news is since her car was totaled out, we ended up picking her up a ID4 to replace it. And since I was already planning on getting rid of my Sequoia anyways for something better suited for daily driving / towing, managed to find a 2015 Touareg TDI. And ironically enough, all the cars are white. So yeah, so now we've got 3 Volkswagens. There might be some more side quests with regards to non-MQB stuff. But I guess let me know if you're interested in any of that. I'm not planning on making another fucking website or anything like that. But there's probably going to be some tow rig stuff going on, which is going to be a big part because that's going to allow me to make this thing a lot less street friendly without, you know, ill side effects. Hopefully within the next 1.5 to 2 years, it's going to be, you know, full cage and all that good stuff and all the safety gear to go with it. So yeah.